Good morning, everyone, and welcome back. The time is 6:44. You have the sun there, kind of sort of breaking through the clouds, but even lower than that, some fog rolling over the Magic City. Quite a sight to see on this cold Wednesday. Let's go ahead and get started with the news for the day. We begin with breaking news from this morning. Christian evangelist Billy Graham has died. Word came this morning that the 99-year-old passed away. Billy Graham is credited with bringing the born-again religious movement into the American mainstream. Life magazine listed him as one of the 100 most important Americans for the 20th century. In other news this morning, dozens of students from Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School are in Tallahassee to fight for gun reform. The students arrived in the state capitol Tuesday, the same day the Florida State House voted down a measure to consider a ban on assault weapons. Accused gunman Nicholas Cruz allegedly used an AR-15 to kill 17 students and educators in Parkland last week. President Trump holds a listening session at the White House on school safety today. Yesterday, the president signed a memo directing the Justice Department to develop regulations that would ban so-called bump stock devices. Bump stocks, which convert semi-automatic weapons into automatic weapons, were used in the Las Vegas mass shooting last fall. Billings State Senator Margie McDonald wants to close a loophole in state law to help keep guns out of the hands of dangerous people. McDonald's proposed bill would ensure Montana's background check system includes everyone who's prohibited under federal law from buying firearms due to serious mental illness. Currently, Montana law does not share information about involuntary mental commitments with the National Instant Criminal Background Check System. McDonald's proposal would close that loophole without, she believes, infringing on Second Amendment rights. McDonald's proposed bill also includes an appeals process and provides a way to give gun ownership rights back to people whose mental health is restored, two federal requirements that current Montana law does not provide. In other news, a Billings Police Department employee is out of a job, and dozens of drug cases in Yellowstone County are now in limbo after the employee admitted to stealing evidence. Police Chief Rich St. John says the evidence technician, 38-year-old Roland Strizich, took drugs for personal use. Strizich was hired on with the department as a clerk in 2013 before moving up as a technician in 2016. By her own report, she began stealing the drugs in July of 2017. Chief St. John says Strizich turned herself in last month shortly before a scheduled audit, admitting she stole hundreds of opioids from evidence. She would search the database for cases involving opioids, then track down the evidence bags and remove the pills. Strizich said she covered up the crime by either resealing the bag or destroying it. Her behavior went unnoticed partly because there are only 4 total employees in her department, and her duties include handling evidence, so it did not appear suspicious. St. John believes 138 cases involving 134 suspects or defendants are affected. Strizich is not in police custody. The criminal investigation is ongoing, and the department is still trying to assess the scope of the crime. There are a number of charges she could face, but the investigation is still open. An apartment near North Park went up in flames after combustibles were placed too close to a wall heater. The Billings Fire Department was called out to this fire on North 22nd Tuesday morning. Crews removed 2 small dogs and got them breathing with oxygen. 2 people inside the apartment were treated at the hospital for smoke inhalation. It's estimated the fire caused $35,000 in damages. On to court news. The Darby teen who allegedly threatened his school and referenced the deadly Florida shooting last week made his first court appearance. 18-year-old McLean Kaiser faces 1 felony count of intimidation and 1 felony count of assault with a weapon. Court documents state Kaiser made statements about 10 students who should wear certain colors to avoid being shot at school. After the Florida shooting last week, he referenced the shooting in a social media post saying, quote, "coming soon to Darby." Kaiser admitted to the statements he made, but said that he viewed his activity as a joke. In court Tuesday, Judge Jim Bailey said he considered Kaiser a serious threat to the community and set his bail at $50,000. If he makes bail, he is prohibited from going on school property or initiating contact with people at school. His parents were also in court and agreed to remove firearms from the home. Kaiser's next court appearance is expected to be sometime in March. A man is behind bars and faces felony theft charges after admitting to burglarizing several electronic and cell phone stores in Billings. 33-year-old Matthew Cohn is accused of throwing rocks at business windows, as seen here, gaining entry and stealing cell phones over a several-week span, starting in January. In total, Cohn allegedly stole more than $5,000 in phones and other items. The cost of damages is estimated at $1,500. Cohn's girlfriend, who admitted to investigators she drove him to the locations, said it was him burglarizing the businesses. On Monday, Cohn was located and was in possession of a stolen pickup truck. Documents state he also possessed 2.5 grams of meth. Cohn was arrested and admitted to committing the burglaries. A Billings man may receive his 10th DUI after an officer found him passed out behind the wheel with the beer bottle in his hand. 57-year-old William Sweet made his initial appearance in Yellowstone County Justice Court Tuesday on a new felony DUI charge. A deputy was called to the area of Old Hardin Road early Saturday for a potential drunk driver. The deputy found a vehicle idling in a parking lot and saw Sweet passed out at the wheel. After Sweet woke up, he submitted to a breathalyzer test, which revealed a level of intoxication more than twice the legal limit. The deputy ran Sweet's name and found he has 9 prior DUIs or related convictions. He was taken to jail, where he's being held on $50,000 bond. Now on the campaign trail, U.S. Senator Jon Tester has paid his filing fee, making his re-election bid official. Tester is considered by some to be one of the most vulnerable incumbent senators this year. 4 Republicans are already in the race, vying for the GOP's nomination to take on Tester. They've been speaking out against Tester, calling him a soldier in the Democratic leadership's liberal D.C. Army and someone out of touch with rural conservative Montana values. Tester says it's the same strategy he's faced before, and as he puts it, the GOP trying to cast him as something he's not. Interviews have begun in the search for MSU Billings' next chancellor. The 4 top candidates are all in Billings this week to connect with the university and the community. The first candidate to spend a day at MSUB was Dr. Carmen Simone. Dr. Simone is currently the president of Trinidad State Junior College in Colorado and has a doctorate in chemistry. She's from Watford City, North Dakota, and is excited about the possibility to be closer to home. When asked about retention issues facing the college, Dr. Simone says one of her top goals is to strengthen relationships. She believes the first step is to create meaningful connections for the students. The other 3 finalists will also be on the MSUB campus this week. Visiting today will be Dr. Dan Eldman, the Executive Vice President and Chief Financial Officer at the University of North Texas at Dallas. Elsewhere, the Montana VA healthcare system announced it will treat the whole person in one place. The VA says a new program will integrate behavioral health and primary care in all VA clinics across the state. The VA said Tuesday it has committed to an aggressive expansion of integrated behavioral health and will recruit more than 20 positions across the state. Dr. Joel Mitchell says it's important to address a veteran's physical, emotional, and social well-being. He says, quote, "Simply put, we are treating people, not conditions. Consequently, it is critical that we provide the right treatment at the right dose for the right patient in the right setting at the right time." The VA says 70% of primary care visits involve a behavioral health component. Back here in Billings, downtown leaders are dreaming big. After months of community input, the Downtown Billings Alliance unveils its new strategy. The strategic plan looks years down the road, but contains action items that can be accomplished in the coming days, weeks, and months.
With the execution of strategies set forth in this strategic plan, Downtown Billings Alliance will lead the deliberate and forward-thinking growth of the Billings region. Downtown Billings starts here.
The transformation initiatives are split into 4 broad topics: a push for downtown housing that promotes downtown living, a model of inclusion of diverse cultures, multi-use street and connectivity, and the incorporation of multi-anchor developments such as the plans in the One Big Sky Center proposal. Among those plans, an American Indian Center and discussion of changing one-way streets in downtown into 2 ways for better flow of traffic. For any of it to work, communication is key. The idea of public Wi-Fi downtown is also in the plans. There's also a bold proposal to possibly bring back passenger train service to southern Montana.